Welcome once again to Opa's Barn. Today we're going to talk about something that I'm very excited about. We've had comments on this and that's what I like. So we're going to do what people have asked for. We're going to talk about some treadle tools. We're going to talk about this type. It's a pedal machine. You sit on it and pedal it just like a bicycle. And that, instead of making you move forward, it makes the blade go up and down and up and down. There are different types of scroll saws, and the ones we're going to talk about today are by the W.F.&J. Barnes Company out of Rockford, Illinois. Now, all these treadle saws that we're going to be talking about today were patented back in 1876, about 148 years ago, coming on its 150th birthday. How many tools we have today are still going to be around 150 years from now? And we still have these, and they still work very, very well. Their first belting system that they put on this was like the old sewing machines. They used a round belt. And you can see the round belt right here. It fits in a V groove. It goes around. Now, this particular one has a rubber belt on there. And guys that work with these kind of machines, they tell me quite often that's not the right belt. And they're correct. The original belts were leather. This one has a rubber belt on it because this came out of a furniture factory around Waterloo, Iowa. And they needed something to keep up with production. Leather has a problem with humidity and temperature, depending on what that is, that belt will shrink and get longer and shorter and longer and shorter. So part of the time, a machine like this didn't work very good because of the humidity and temperature. To get away from that, they got rid of the leather belt and they put a rubber belt on here. And along those same lines, we'll show you the next production model and how they put a flat belt on there instead. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. For the W.F.&J. Barnes Company, this was not their first model. Their first model actually did not have a seat attached to it. You had to sit on a chair or something and pedal it. What happened then, the machine tended to move away from you. So they decided they're gonna attach the seat right to the machine. And you can see by the seats on here, I'll take this off so you can see it. Just like they had on the old steam engines back then. They just took them right off the steam engine, put them on a machine like this, and used it for a saw. Nice thing about having a seat like this, it's all adjustable, depending on how long your legs are, all adjustable. And if you want to move the machine around, you can take it off of there and take it with you. When I'm out demonstrating, if I ever have to leave the saw and leave it set, I always take the seat off so nobody tries to get on there and play with the machine. Another thing about this machine, it kind of shows the age of it, and that is in how it's built. One of the things on this particular machine is this has a square pedal. The pedal is made so you can turn it over depending on the length of your legs. For a shorter person's legs or a longer person's leg, you could turn that back and forth. It's a feature they only had for a couple of years in their machines. Apparently it wasn't something that was used very often, and they went back to a different type of pedal, and we'll show you that on another machine. Now, it doesn't matter on these machines if you pedal forwards or you pedal backwards. In fact, most guys that run these kind of machines and do it a long time, like today we're just doing it for demonstrations and such, but back in the day when they did it in a factory setting and those kind of things, they didn't pedal forward, they pedaled backwards. When you pedal forwards, you're using your calf muscles. When you pedal backwards, you're using your thigh muscles, and your thigh muscles are much stronger than what your calf muscles are, and you can continue pedaling for a long time. Fortunately, these machines were made with a blade that we can still buy today. You can use a coping saw blade. The coping saw blade has little pieces that stick out here, little pegs that stick out, and that's designed so you can put it on your machine and clamp that into place, and you're ready to go to work again. Now, in the original Barnes catalogs, they had commentaries from people who had purchased their machines. And they talked about how fast these were and how well they would cut, and they are very good. But they actually said that you could cut 3-inch thick walnut at 2 feet a minute on a machine like this. I've never tried that, but that would be quite a stretch. But you end up with about 4 inches here, a maximum blade, and you could cut something 3 inches thick. Here I've drawn a pattern of a heart on just a little 1/4-inch piece of wood, and I'll show you how quick and easy it is to cut something like this out on a machine like this. Now, you could definitely cut thicker material than this. I tend to use just a 1/4-inch material like this when I'm doing demonstrating at historical sites and things like that, because it's a little quicker and easier, and people just want to see an end product in a hurry. Here's a little bit different machine than the one we were using earlier. With this one, the main difference in this one is the belt, the drive belt. The problem they had on the first one was that the belt would slip once in a while. They only made it that way for a couple of years, and then they figured out we need to do something different. So they put a wider wheel on here and a wide belt to fit on that wheel for better traction. They also put a sprocket up in here with little pegs that stick out that line up with those holes so that when you pedal it, it can't slip. One other feature you'll find on a machine like this, whereas the first machine we talked about, the one where I cut things out on, it had square pedals that could be turned up and down. That wasn't a feature that apparently worked very well. So instead they went to a pedal like this, more of an oval pedal it's called. Here we have another added feature for a scroll saw like this. Now, when these scroll saws were first out in production and for sale, the scroll saw itself cost $20. As an add-on, you could get this drill. The reason they added a drill with them was for doing fret work. When you do fret work, a lot of times you want to do interior work, so you have to drill a hole through it, stick your blade through there, and then go on cutting. They tried to incorporate it into one machine so you didn't have to get an auger and bit or anything like that to do your drilling with. So they added this. Now this was a $2 item when they put it on here. You don't find too many of these. I have seen a few. The ones that I've seen are in some very high-end collections or in museums. The ones you find in museums, I've never found any that have their belts on like this. Something that you just don't find on there. I was able to put belts on this one, and one of the things that when I saw these in a museum was, it won't go down. What's the deal here? I fiddled around and fiddled around, couldn't figure out how to make them go down. Well, I've got that part figured out. You have to stretch the metal a little bit, and there it goes right down. When you stretch that metal, these bands are just loose. When you stretch that and let it down, these bands tighten up, which allows this now to turn when you're pedaling the machine. I've never actually seen anybody use one of these and drill a hole, and I think I know why. They don't work very well at all. I cannot get this to work properly. You've got belts that run from this side over to this side, and they're crisscrossing, and I cannot get the belts to stay on there. I've tried cutting my belt shorter, making the tension more. Doesn't seem to make any difference on there. So if any of you guys out there, I'm trying to learn too. I'm trying to teach people, but I'm also trying to learn. If you've got one of these and you have this drill working, please add something in the comments so that I can understand better how to get it to work. As you can see, the belt right now has no tension on it. If I lower this down and tighten up my belts, look at that. The bit turns. But it'll only do it for a little bit. And if I put any kind of pressure on there, it has happened already. The belt ran off of the pulley. If you're wondering if your scroll saw ever had a drill, you look on the tabletop, there will be a hole in the tabletop where the drill bit used to come down. Okay, here we have the treadle style. This is a catch and release treadle style machine as opposed to the pedal style of machine. Originally, they had a very complicated system of belts and pulleys to run this, and at the same time they came out with the ones with the flat belt on the bigger pedal machines. They added a flat belt to this type of machine as well. To run a pedal machine is much easier than running this style machine because you have to keep you're pushing away at the same time you're pushing the wood into the saw, so it's much easier to pedal and do that. Here we have a smaller treadle tool. This is like a treadle system like on a sewing machine. Now we'll be talking more about these type of machines in further videos. If you watch the one we had today, those machines were more of an industrial sized machine, whereas these are more of a home or hobby sized machines. Here we have a combination machine. This is by the Goodell Pratt company, and they made a lathe. You can see the lathe part down here, and it also came with a scroll saw that you could put into place and run the scroll saw as well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here today. Please like and subscribe, and if you have any comments, we'd love to hear from you here at Opa's Barn.